Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time to continue in our series and diving into the wisdom of Hermetics. I think the painting's at a right position. You can see it's kind of bright here and shiny today. Hopefully it's beautiful wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of the weather. It's actually really windy here, getting some 40-mile-an-hour gusts, but we are continuing nevertheless into our series of the Corpus Hermeticum, the Divine Pymander, original manuscript, Hermes Trismegistus, 3rd century AD, new edition 2015, edited by Tarl Warwick. Now, we've gone over this many times, and if you're new here in the series, then be sure to go back into the introduction in the beginning and check that out. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to do this quickly here today in mind of your time, and we will see where my mind goes, because we are continuing in, is it the 11th book or the 9th book of the Corpus Hermeticum? It is the 11th, and it is entitled Of the Common Mind To TAT. So let's see where our common mind goes, ladies and gentlemen, because I always say, oh yeah, it's just going to be a 20-minute video. And then by the time I'm done recording, I'm like, all right, sweet, let's see how long it was. 55 minutes. It's like, so anyways, before we get started, hope you got yourself a beverage, ladies and gentlemen, and are comfortable. Once again, I appreciate you being here because we are about to dive into some very deep Hermetic texts. Tea, simple pleasures. Soothing pleasures are the best, and tea soothes the soul. This is a good one, too. This is a good one. All right. Verse number 65 in chapter 11 of the Corpus Hermeticum of the Common Mind to TAT begins by saying, and once again, I believe this is the second or third part of this chapter, as well as probably the 15th or 16th part of this entire series of this book. So if you've missed that, once again, that's there. Number 65 says, Tot stated, yeah, but the speech of men is different, O Father, every man according to his nation. It is true, O son. Number 66. Trismegistus responds, it is true, O son, they do differ. Yet as man is one, so is speech one also, and it is interpreted and found the same, both in Egypt, Persia, and Greece. And that left me with the fascinating thought last time we were going over this, that thought translates above any language. And thought really is the true language itself, coming before any, speech of such thought, regardless of its difference. Anyways, but you seem to be ignorant of the virtue and greatness of speech. For the blessed God, the god Daemon, commanded the soul to be in the body, the mind in the soul, the word or reason in the mind, and the mind in God, and that God is the Father of them all. That was verse 65, 66, 67, and 68. 69. Therefore, the word is the image of the mind, and the mind of God. So the mind is the image of God, which is confusing because God really has no image, but yet it is all images. And God, all right, therefore the word is the image of the mind and the mind of God, and the body of the idea and the idea of the soul. Therefore, of the matter, the smallest part is air, of the air, the soul, and of the soul, the mind, and of the mind, God. And God is about all things, and through all things. But the mind about the soul is about the air, and the air about the matter. 72. But necessity and providence and nature are the components of the world and of the order of matter. I find that bit important there. Necessity, providence. What are each of those, and what do each of those mean? That could be its own study. And nature. These three are the components of the world and the order of matter. The order of the material physical realm? Maybe. Once again, this is all open to interpretation and your own understanding of what you find in this. Like I say all the time, I would be doing this by myself regardless, and so I find it a lot more fun to do it here with you, ladies and gentlemen. So it continues. For the things that are intelligible, everyone is, but the essence of them is identity. But of the bodies of the whole or universe, everyone is many things. For the bodies that are put together and that have and make their changes one to the other, having this identity, do always perceive the incorruptibility of the identity. But in every one of the compound bodies there is a number. For without number, it is impossible there should be consistence or constitution or composition or dissolution. You can see Warhorse getting a kick out of that part, dealing with numbers there. But unities do both beget increase numbers, and again being dissolved, come into themselves. And the matter is singular. And the matter is singular. See, that's so interesting. Yesterday we were talking a whole lot about oneness, out of which springs forth all of this matter. But if all of the matter is singular, what does it mean? Whoop-de-doo, what does it mean, Basil? What do you think it means, ladies and gentlemen? As I always say, if you think you're getting this entirely, then you're probably not getting it very much at all. And if you're having a very hard time understanding much of this, then you're probably picking up quite a bit. And it just amazes me that this has survived so long, this wisdom. And I was about to side tangent, but let us stay focused, ladies and gentlemen. So we've done 65 through 64 here, actually 79. But I'm going to read through 70 to 79 there again quickly, because it was very deep and profound, and hopefully we can discover something there by going through it a little faster rather than stopping each line. 70. Therefore, of the matter, the smallest part is air, of the air, the soul, and of the soul, the mind, and of the mind, God. And God is about all things, and through all things. But the mind about the soul, and the soul about the air, and the air about the matter. But necessity and providence and nature are the components of the world, and of the order of matter. For of those things that are intelligible, everyone is, but the essence of them is identity. But of the bodies of the whole, or universe, every one is many things. For the bodies that are put together and that have and make their changes one to the other, having this identity, do always perceive the incorruptibility of the identity. But in every one of the compound bodies there is a number. For without number it is impossible there should be consonance or constitution, consistence, or constitution, or composition, or dissolution. But unities do both beget and increase numbers, and again being dissolved, come into themselves. And the matter is singular. That is a deep bit there. I think that section from 70 to 79 there could be broken down in great expansive depth for many hours on maybe future podcasts of this channel, or maybe another channel that does similar kind of work. But there's a meaning in those 9 lines there that I find of great significance and importance to really understand, but at the moment it seems to be outside of my grasp. And so if you're really getting what it means there, ladies and gentlemen, then awesome. Thank you for being here, and leave that in the comments so hopefully we can get that as well for ourselves. Because this, if you remember, and I find it important to go now, in the very beginning of the Hermetica, the Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs, after it goes over the introduction and the unifying religion and the history of the Hermetica and the demise of thrice great Hermes, the wisdom of the Pharaohs, early Christianity, and finally to the prophecies of Hermes, it has these words for us. First thing is that pure philosophy is a spiritual striving through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. Of Atum, the one God. But how do we attain this true knowledge and this pure philosophy? Well, it was just told to us there by the sage god Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, also known as, that it is through a spiritual striving and through a constant contemplation, a constant meditation, a constant rumination, a constant ponderation, a constant thinking upon and going over and back over these things. Because he also said, speaking now in prophecy, I say that in times to come no one will pursue philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. This pure philosophy. There was a time, and there even is still probably a time, now where people do not pursue this pure philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. And I would not be so arrogant to say that I am such one. However, I would hope that we are of those, and we are of that time. Those with a grudging and ungenerous temperament will try and prevent us. It says men. But those of us that are the men and women that are on this path and called or inspired to this kind of wisdom, hold to it. Those with grudging and ungenerous temperament will try and prevent men and women discovering the priceless gift of immortality. Philosophy will become confused, making it hard to comprehend, and it will be corrupted by spurious speculation, and it will be entangled with bewildering sciences. And that goes on, and that is the prophecies of Hermes, the first section of the Hermetica. But the last words of thrice great Hermes, his wise words, although written by my decaying hand, remain imperishable throughout time, imbued with the same thing he just described before, this medicine of immortality. Now, what that really is, a knowledge of some sort, an understanding and knowing that you are immortal, and you are much more than just your physical nature, but you are also a spiritual nature, that you are a physical being, that rather you are not a physical being having a temporary spiritual experience, but you are rather a spiritual being who is having a temporary human experience. Be unseen and undiscovered by all those who will come and go wandering the wastelands of life. Be hidden until an older heaven births human beings who are worthy of your wisdom, and having sounded this prayer over the works of his hands, Hermes was received into the sanctuary of eternity. Why did I sidetrack and read all that? I don't know. Those are important, very important sections for me, and I think it helps us to take what we read there from 70 to 79 and not try to grasp it so firmly, but rather allow and see what sinks in over time. Verse number 80 now. Once again, reading from book number 11, or chapter number 11 of the Common Mind To TAT in the Corpus Hermeticum, the Divine Pymander, for purposes of teaching and commentary and expanding the mind, so that through that greater awareness and understanding, we can hopefully increase the quality of our lives. Verse number 80. But this whole world, the great God, in the image of the greater, and united unto him, and concerning the order and will of the Father, is the fullness of life. Is the fullness of life. But this whole world, the great God in the image of the greater, and united unto him, and concerning the order and the will of the Father, all of this is the fullness of life. 81. And there is nothing therein, through all the eternity of the revolution, neither of the whole, nor of the parts which are inanimate, nor of the parts which are inanimate, things that are not made, compared to the things that are made. It's very funny, these little things that are connecting, the synchronicities you get from one subject to the next, despite them being totally opposite subjects. Even though I mentioned it a couple times, we were not talking about hermetics yesterday, but these things not made, and these things that are quote-unquote inanimate, but that are parts of the whole, dependent upon the whole, or their usefulness. Anyways, if you've seen yesterday's video, you know where I'm getting the connections there. Number 82, for there is nothing dead that either has been or is or shall be in the world. I'll have to repeat that for those of us that are still confused about life and death, like myself. For there is nothing dead that either has been or is or shall be in the world. So there is nothing dead that has been in the world, is currently in the world, or will be in the future world. None of it is dead. So that means we are just a continuing energy. The old saying, energy can never be destroyed. It can only change form. 83, for the Father would have it, as long as it lasts, to be a living thing, and therefore it is God also. I haven't heard it put that way. I'm always trying to describe and say and read all the ways that have been described and told to us that we are God, that we are a part of God and connected to, and but I haven't heard it put that way, and that's another way to say it. For the Father would have it, as long as it lasts, to be a living thing, and therefore it is also God. Therefore it is God also. How, therefore, O Son, can there be in God, in the image of the universe, in the fullness of life, any dead things? For dying is corruption, and corruption is destruction. How then can any part of the incorruptible be corrupted, or of God be destroyed? This is a great argument. I've never heard it put this way. Tot said, therefore, O Father, Do not the living things in the world die, though they be parts thereof? Amazing how this is syncing up with yesterday's. Even though they are part of the separate parts that make up the whole of the world, where the trueness really lies, it's the emptiness in the vessel of the clay pot or the water pitcher that is most important, that makes it useful. It's really good tea today. As you can tell, I'm enjoying it. However, Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, is telling his son Tot, or it's Tot May telling Tot. I'm never sure about all that. I would like another firm description of who Tot May is, who Tot is, who Thoth is, who's talking to who here. However, therefore, O son, if we are all a part of God and nothing will ever die, that is a part of this, that either has been or is or shall be in the world, there is nothing dead. There's nothing dead. For the Father would have it, as long as it lasts, to be a living thing, and therefore it is God also. How, he asks Tot, therefore, O son, can there be in God, which is all of this that we are a part of, in the image of the universe, in the fullness of life, any dead things? For dying is corruption, and corruption is destruction, and that is not a part of the perfection or the incorruptibility of the identity. See, that goes back to that 70 to 79 section there. Make their change one to the other, having this identity, do always perceive the incorruptibility of the identity. However, and so how then can any part of the incorruptible be corrupted or of God be destroyed? It can't, obviously. So Tot asks now, therefore, O Father, do not the living things of the world, the trees and the critters and animals and even ourselves, die, though they all be parts thereof, parts of the whole or of God? I'm guessing he means. 88. He replied, be wary in your speech, O son, and not deceived in the names of things. For they do not die, O son, but as compound bodies they are dissolved. But dissolution is not death. And they are dissolved not that they may be destroyed, but that they may be reincarnated. Tot said, what then is the operation of life? Is it not motion? Wow. I mean, if you've been here for this whole series and the Hermetica, that was just profound. I mean, because we've learned about motion before, being of the key nature of existence. Therefore, the mind resisting it procures good to the soul, but as many souls do not entertain the mind for their governor. So it's talking about the mind back in the beginning. See, so many times this will happen. See, back they were talking about evil and fate, and Tot asks his father in the same one. He goes, "Oh, father, that discourse of fate and destiny which you told me is in danger of being overthrown, for if it be fatal for any man to commit adultery, sacrilege, or do any evil, he is punished also. But this doesn't make sense," he says, "because though he of necessity do the work of the fate or destiny, And so then Trismegistus or Thoth or Totme has to describe to Tot, his son, the confusion about the words. It's always the confusion about the words. See, it seems that we as physical beings take these words a certain way, and we begin to get a concept of a thing that is not actually the way it is. So in this dialogue here, he's telling him nothing can die, nothing can be destroyed. It is all a part of the goodness and the perfection of reality and God. And how then can any part of the incorruptible be corrupted? Because death is corruption and destruction. So that is not possible, to be within the image of the universe and the fullness of life, any dead things. So Todd asks him, well, how is this possible? Because we see this happening in our physical reality all the time. So how then? Like, well, you're telling me none of this is dying, but I'm sitting here watching it all happen. I mean, this is the argument that we should all have about these mystical kind of concepts that don't make any sense. They're paradoxical. But when you get the answer, the meaning transforms the understanding of that which we thought we knew already into something totally new. Where he goes, no, 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 no. Be wary in your speech, O son, and not deceived in the names of things. Remember earlier in this video somewhere, it mentioned being careful with your words and your understanding of speech. He says 67, but you seem to be ignorant of the virtue and the greatness of speech. And so now, with that being said, understand, for they do not die, O son. This is verse number 89. But as compound bodies, they are dissolved. But dissolution is not death. And they, though the bodies be dissolved, not that they may be destroyed, that they may be reincarnated. 91, Tot said, what then is the operation of life? Is it not motion? And what is there in the world unmovable? Nothing at all, O son. Tot said, why? Do you not consider the world immovable, O father? No, but subject to many motions. Though after a manner it alone be stable. What a ridiculous thing it were, that the nurse of all things should be immovable, which carries and brings forth all things. That one was too deep for me. I'll admit it there. I don't know what he meant by that one, but there's always this paradoxical nature of that which is movable and that which is immovable. And how, I mean, I may be getting this the second time I'm watching it on the premiere. So thank you to those of you joining me. I've been getting deep in the chair today. Thank you to those of you that are joining me in the premiere. It's always fun to see you there. Bang Chief, salute, A1, and many, many others. We had a lot yesterday in the chat. So many. I'm trying to remember everybody that was there. Beat Rays and Robert Wood, I think. And there was a couple new ones I hadn't seen before. Tripsville, I think. Not sure if that was the one from New Zealand, but yeah, plenty of wonderful thank you. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and hopefully you're getting value out of this. Like I say all the time, I would just be doing this anyways, and it's funner to do it here with you, to try to offer this realm, this reality, some kind of reinterpretation of these works in a modern time. And what is there in the world immovable? Nothing at all, O son. 93. Thoth said, "Why? Do you consider the world immovable, O father?" He says, "No, but subject to many motions, though after a manner it alone be stable." This makes me think of how it described the nature of the movement of the universe and, the stars and all of that. It was like it is perfect and it never changes, but within that cycle of never changingness, it is always moving and changing. So it is like a ever moving, changing thing within a solid structure that is never moving or changing. And this here, the nurse that it describes, that is bringing things forth but never moving. What a ridiculous thing that it were that the nurse of all things should be immovable, that structure, which carries and brings forth all things. For it is impossible that anything that brings forth should bring forth without motion. Okay. So it countered my idea there. 97. And a ridiculous question it is whether the fourth part of the whole be idle. See, what were the three parts of the whole? Should I have picked that up already? Once again, this is all for fun, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a good time. And a ridiculous question it is whether the fourth part of the whole be idle, for the world immovable or without motion signifies nothing else but idleness. Know generally, O son, that whatsoever is in the world is moved either according to augmentation or diminution. So whenever there's a word that I don't get, I like to stop and discover what that word means. And for diminution, it is a reduction of size, extent, or importance of something. See, that is what could be significant there. A reduction of size, extent, or importance of something. A curtailment, a cutting back, a constriction, a lowering, a weakening, an undermining. Let's read that again now with this new understanding here. The opposite would be an increase, an expansion, a growth. I find it interesting, though, a reduction in the importance of something or the size. Known generally, O son, that whatsoever is in the world is moved either according to augmentation or diminution, an increasing or a decreasing. I would guess. Let's get a deeper version of augmentation, ladies and gentlemen. The actual process of making or becoming greater. Yes, exactly. So an increasing and a decreasing, but in a very, see, that's the thing about all of this study here, is that you find that each of these words in the etymology of any of these words, especially going back to the original languages, mean like 10 things. I mean, it could mean the lengthening of time when it comes to music, but when it comes to, apparel and stuff, the augmentation could be adding adornments. And all of these metaphors may apply to a description of reality, which is being given to us here. So, that generally, O son, that whatsoever is in the world is moved either according to increase or decrease in quality and other variants, augmentation or diminution. 99. But that which is moved is alive. Yet it is not necessary that a living thing should be or continue the same. 100. Verse 100. For while the whole world is together, it is unchangeable, O son, but all the parts thereof are changeable. Yet nothing is corrupted or destroyed and quite abolished, but the names trouble those who would ponder them. See, once again, it comes back to that. The names, trying to describe it. I'm like, the more we sit here and try to debate and understand and give words to all of this, the further we get from the real, true understanding of it. But for the purpose of entertaining these thoughts and trying to, defeat the purpose here, it's funny. He goes, but for the present, this is verse number 27 earlier. He goes, for the present, forsake that speech concerning evil and fate, for at other times we have spoken of it. Now our discourse is about the mind and what it can do and how it differs, and in his men such a one, but in brute beasts rather changed. And so this is the purpose. 101. But the names trouble those who would ponder them. So don't worry about the names. It is more about the deeper essence. 102. For generation is not life, but sense. Neither is change death, but forgetfulness. Life is sense, death is forgetfulness, or rather occultation, being hidden. Another way to think of occultation is an eclipse, an occulting of a light, a covering up, or hiding of that which was. Rather, an occultation, or a hiding of that which was, and lying hid. All right, I'm going to read 100 as far as I can go without interrupting here. For while the whole world is together, it is unchangeable, O son, but all the parts thereof are changeable. Yet nothing is corrupted or destroyed, and quite abolished, but the names trouble those who would ponder them. For generation is not life, but sense, neither is change death, but forgetfulness, or rather occultation and lying hid. For generation is not a creation of life, but a production of things to sense, and making them manifest. Neither is change death, but an occultation of hiding, or hiding of that which was. These things being so, all things are immortal. Matter, life, spirit, soul, mind, whereof every living thing consists. Every living thing, therefore, is immortal, because of the mind, but especially man, who both receives God and converses with him. For with this living spirit alone is God familiar. In the night by dreams, in the day by symbols or signs, and by all things does he foretell him of things to come, by birds, by the spirit or wind, and by an oak. Wherefore also man professes to know things that have been, things that are present, and things to come. Consider this also, O son, that every other living creature goes up upon one part of the world, swimming things in the water, land spirits upon the earth, and flying fowls in the air. But man uses all these, earth, the water, the air, and the fire. Nay, he sees and touches heaven by his senses. But God is both about all things, and through all things, for he is both act and the potential to act. And it is no hard thing, O son, to understand God. And if you wish also to see him, look upon the necessity of the things that appear and the providence of things that have been and are done. See the matter of being, most full of life. I said that wrong. Sorry, like I said, I'm trying to go fast here. This part too is also incredible. I feel bad for interrupting right here. Let me continue. Let me go back actually a couple. But man uses all these, the earth, the water, the air, and the fire, and nay, he sees and touches heaven by his senses. But God is both about all things and through all things, for he is both act and potential to act. And it is no hard thing, O son, to understand God. And if you wish also to see him, look upon the necessity of things that appear, and the providence of things that have been and are done. See the matter being most full of life, and so great a God moved, with all good and fair, both gods and daemons. Daemon, not D-N. And men. Tot said, but these, O Father, are holy acts, or operations. He replied, if they be, therefore, holy acts or operations, O son, by whom are they acted or operated? But by God. Question mark. By whom are they acted or operated but by God? Are you ignorant that as parts of the world are heaven and earth and water and air, after the same manner the members of God are life and immortality and eternity and spirit and necessity and providence and nature and soul and mind, and the persistence of all these which is called good? And there is not anything of all that has been and all that is where God is not. What in matter, O Father? The matter, O Son, what is without God, that you should ascribe a proper place to it? He asked that in a question. That one stumped me there. I'm confused. He goes, what in matter, O Father? The matter, I'm thinking he's talking about physical, material matter. The matter, O Son, what is it? Okay, he's going, what is this matter without God? It is still, what is it without God? Nothing. The usefulness of what is lies within the emptiness, the underlying essence, the source from which it all springs from. This is tying it up with yesterday so good. The matter, O son, what is it without God, that you should ascribe a proper place to it? 121. Or what do you think it to be? Peradventure, some heap that is not actuated or operated? He's he's kicking his butt here. He's like, listen, I'm gonna give you the rundown. You just asked me about, but aren't these things, he replied, if they be therefore holy operations, or no, he goes, and by holy he means WHOLLY, not like holy, but like the entire thing, holy, the entirety of it. He says, but these, O Father, are holy acts or operations. Clearly they can't be God. Thoth's like, or sorry, Thoth, Hermes, Tot, May, whoever is talking to Tot here as the father figure, Tot being the son. He replies, if they be therefore holy acts or operations, by who do you think is doing all these acts and operations? Who has acted or operating them? By whom are they acted or operated but by God? And so you try to ask me again, what in this matter? And he goes, the matter, what is it without God? Or what do you think it to be? Peradventure comes some heap. Do you think this matter is just meaningless too, to come some heap that is not actuated or operated by God? This is really a defiance to those that believe God does not exist. I have no idea what I'm going to title this, but maybe that should be it. Maybe that should be it. 123. By whom are all living things given life? And the immortal, by whom are they immortalized? The things that are changeable, by whom are they changed? Whether you are speaking of matter or body or essence, know that all these are acts of God. Atum, the universe, grand organized design, God, Great Spirit, the Tao, whatever you want to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, this force, this underlying energy force or essence or source that is doing all things, but leaving, it is doing all things, but seemingly if you try to see it, it is doing nothing and leaving nothing undone. And the act of matter, whether you are speaking of matter or body or essence, know that all these are the acts of God. In the last four here of the 11th book or the 11th chapter of the Corpus Hermeticum, the divine Pymander, of the Common Mind to TAT, and to us. And that the act of matter is a material state, and of the bodies a corporeal state, and of essence an ethereal state. And this is God, the whole. And in the whole there is nothing that is not God. Wherefore about God there is neither greatness, place, quality, figure, or time, for he is all, and the all through all, and about all. And finally, the last line, 128. This word, O Son, worship and adore, and the only service of God is not to be evil. I want to read 124 and 127 there again. Whether you are speaking of matter or body, O Son, I'll add, or essence, know that all these are the acts of God. So matter, and then body, and then essence. And that the act of matter is in a material state. So matter is in the firm and the solid. The active body is in a corporeal state, and in between, a connection to spiritual and material. And the essence, the action of spirit or essence, is in an ethereal state or a spiritual state. Remember, the matter, the body, and the essence, the material, the corporeal, and the ethereal. And in the whole, there is nothing that is not God. Because from the act of the matter of the material state and the bodies in the corporeal and the essence in the ethereal, this is God, the whole. Wherefore about God there is neither greatness, place, quality, figure, or time. For he is all, and the all through all, and about all. And we need to remember that when we are using our ego judgments from our limited, separate human perspective, looking out at the world and saying, this is greatness and that is lesserness. Remember the augmentation and the diminution, the increasing and the decreasing of the qualities. Or different places here and there, different qualities, different figures. This is good and that is not, or this, or even different times, for it is all, and the all, through all and about all, the whole and the one, which as we have learned, we are from, or at least always and continuously a part of, in different forms of life, which is motion and energy. Wow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a boon to the wisdom of Hermetics, the wisdom of the Corpus Hermeticum and Hermes Trismegistus, and some of the ultimate all-time spiritual philosophy. And we'll leave it there for today, ladies and gentlemen. That was profound and mind-blowing. I will look forward to rewatching this one on the premiere with you and seeing if we can discover some stuff together. Because, like I always say, and like it says in the beginning of the Hermetica, a pure philosophy is a spiritual striving through a constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God, or whatever God be for you. I mean, I say it all the time, but it, becomes more clear the more I try to say it and describe it to myself. Is that there is this thing that throughout all of time and all of the cultures around all of our history in our realm, there's this thing that seems to be an underlying essence or force, and it is responsible, and it is like the most important underlying thing that has always been a pursuit of understanding for humanity throughout all of history. Often it is given the name God or some other names that mean a similar thing. And we've yet to discover or understand or figure this thing out. Isn't that fascinating in the least? That throughout all time and all cultures and histories and different spiritual understandings and traditions and philosophies, that we are still sitting here today. And it reminds me of what I said yesterday when I was talking about God is love. I mean, that's become real cliche, and it almost sounds like bleh, fluff when people say, oh, God is love. But really, the greatest spiritual masters taught us that, to have this loving kind of nature, this harmonious, unionness nature, this oneness nature, that is maybe a mirror to the nature of our very own connection to that from which we spring forth from. But love and God, it's like you can't describe either one of them. And they're both these things that have always been attempted to be described with words and thoughts and are ideations, but as we were taught, we do not really know the true power of word and the true power of thought. But I just thought it was interesting, that connection. I never got that before, that God and love are these things that cannot be described. But anyways, tangenting again, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, remember to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and understanding of the nature of our reality, so that through that awareness we can increase the quality of our lives. And also remember to seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the mysteries of our history. And also remember that there is no way to happiness or enlightenment. It is the way. It is what we must learn to create the ability within ourselves. Easy for me to say, blah, blah, blah. But no, seriously, when we can create the ability within ourselves to bring happiness, to bring this new awareness, this understanding, this enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, to our lives, then the entire journey, all the things we've been telling ourselves, oh, when I learn this much, or I become this advanced, or I have this much money, or get that house, all of it becomes irrelevant, because then we can bring it to where we are, and we are there. And then the entire journey is wonderful, hopefully. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I love and appreciate each and every one of you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say enough thank yous, especially to those of you that join me, almost weekly, and no hard feelings if you miss any videos. These are just YouTube videos, so you're not obligated, and I never am like, oh, this person didn't show up, or what. It's no big deal, and it's just really fun to see the regulars or have people that actually show up regular and get value from this. So honor and reverence to you, ladies and gentlemen. You are the ones being the change that you want to see. Be the example that you want to set. Until next time.